Earth detected the alien ships 3 days before they crossed Mars' orbit. Silent, massive vessels that reflected starlight like polished obsidian. They moved in perfect formation, 23 craft arranged in a pattern no human mathematician could immediately decipher. In the command center of Luna Base, Captain Ethan Winters stared at the holographic display, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the projection. The ships appeared as red dots against the black backdrop of space. "What do we know about them?" he asked, voice steady despite the tension in the room. Admiral Carter shook his head. "Nothing concrete. No response to our signals. No aggressive moves either. Yet," Ethan added, his years serving in the Earth Defense Force had taught him caution. "That's why we're sending you," said the Admiral. "First contact needs someone with your diplomatic skills." Ethan almost laughed. His last diplomatic mission had ended with him punching an Australian delegate. But he understood the real reason. If this went wrong, he was expendable. Dr. Lisa Garcia entered the room, carrying a tablet filled with linguistic algorithms. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical bun, eyes bright with both excitement and concern. "The translation matrix is ready," she said. "If they speak, we should be able to understand them. Eventually." Within 12 hours, Ethan and Lisa boarded the EDF Horizon, a medium-sized vessel designed for speed rather than combat. Their mission was simple: approach, communicate, assess. 4 other crew members accompanied them, including Communications Officer Jack Boyd and Science Officer Samantha Wells. As they approached the alien fleet, the enormity of the vessels became apparent. The smallest alien ship dwarfed the largest Earth battlecruiser. Opening communications, Jack announced, sending the carefully crafted greeting message on all frequencies. For 9 tense minutes, there was nothing. Then a strange melodic sound filled the bridge, followed by words in halting English. "We receive. We are Vorathi Collective. You are unexpected." Lisa worked frantically at her station, adjusting parameters as the alien voice continued. "Their language processors are adapting to ours at an incredible rate," she whispered. "We come in peace," Ethan said, using the prepared script. "Humanity welcomes the opportunity for friendship and knowledge exchange." The response was immediate this time. "Yes. Knowledge exchange. Beneficial. We will meet." Something in the tone made Ethan uneasy. He glanced at Lisa, who nodded slightly. She felt it too. The Vorathi invited them to dock with the lead vessel. Against his better judgment, Ethan agreed, leaving Jack and the pilot aboard the Horizon while he, Lisa, and Samantha entered the alien ship. The interior was vast, with curved walls that seemed to shift color. The air was breathable but carried an odd sweetness. 3 tall, slender beings greeted them. Their skin was pale blue with faint patterns that moved beneath the surface. They had 4 arms and large, pupilless eyes. "Welcome," said the tallest one. "I am Speaker Zell. You are first humans we encounter directly." The meeting seemed to go well. The Vorathi asked questions about Earth, its resources, population. They shared little about themselves, deflecting questions with vague responses about the collective and their travels through many star systems. When the humans returned to their ship, Ethan activated the security protocol he'd initiated before leaving, a hidden recorder in his uniform insignia. That night, as the Horizon maintained position near the fleet, Ethan and Lisa reviewed the recording. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then Lisa enhanced a section where the Vorathi spoke among themselves, while the humans examined a cultural artifact. Primitive specimens, the translation matrix rendered. Suitable for processing after assessment. Resource-rich world. 2 days later, the Horizon's sensors detected energy weapons firing from the Vorathi fleet. The target was a small research outpost on Europa. 47 scientists died in seconds. When Ethan demanded an explanation, Speaker Zell replied with chilling calm. "Contamination removal. Standard procedure for assessment." Earth's first contact had become its first warning. Admiral Paul Bennett stood before the United Nations Security Council, his gray uniform crisp despite having worn it for 36 hours straight. The bags under his eyes told the story of sleepless nights since the Europa massacre. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face an existential threat," he said, pointing to the screen behind him showing the Vorathi fleet now in Earth orbit. "These aliens have ignored all diplomatic protocols. They've refused to apologize for Europa. Instead, they've positioned their ships strategically around our planet." The room fell silent as satellite imagery appeared. 23 massive ships positioned over major cities around the globe. "What do they want?" asked the French representative. "They made their demands clear this morning," Bennett replied. He pressed a button, and Speaker Zell's voice filled the chamber. "Humans, your species requires guidance. Submit to Vorathi oversight. Your resources will be managed. Your population will be regulated. Resistance will result in pacification. You have 48 hours to comply." Murmurs filled the room. The Chinese representative stood. "And if we refuse?" Bennett's jaw tightened. "We've seen their weapons capabilities. The Europa station was completely vaporized." In a secure underground facility beneath Denver, intelligence officer Maya Collins worked frantically, analyzing data from deep space monitoring stations. She'd been searching for patterns, any information about these Vorathi that might help Earth understand what they were facing. "I found something," she told her team, pulling up images on the main screen. "These are transmissions from a star system 50 light-years away. We received them years ago, but classified them as background radiation." The enhanced images showed another planet, green and blue like Earth, then flashes of light, then barrenness. "I found 7 similar patterns in our deep space archives," Maya explained. "Always the same sequence. A habitable world, then weapons fire, then a mining operation. The Vorathi aren't explorers. They're harvesters." When Maya's findings reached Admiral Bennett, he made his decision. "We refuse their ultimatum," he announced to world leaders. "We fight." Earth's combined military forces began mobilizing. Space-based defense platforms, hidden during years of international tensions, were activated. Civilian evacuations from major cities began. The deadline passed. The Vorathi struck without warning. Their weapons cut through Earth's defensive shields like they weren't there. Seattle disappeared in a flash of light. Then Mumbai. Then Cairo. But humanity wasn't defenseless. Experimental rail guns mounted on orbital platforms fired back. Their projectiles accelerated to near-light speed. One Vorathi ship shuddered as a slug tore through its hull. "They can be hurt," Bennett told his commanders from the underground command center. "Focus all fire on that damaged vessel." In research labs around the world, scientists worked desperately to understand the alien technology. At MIT, Dr. Nora Patel noticed something odd in the energy readings from the Vorathi weapons. "They're using a phase-shifted energy pattern," she explained to her colleagues. "They shift slightly out of our reality to bypass shields, but there's a millisecond vulnerability during the shift." This information spread quickly through military channels. Earth's defensive systems were recalibrated. When the Vorathi fired on London, the city's shields held, barely. The aliens paused their attack, seemingly surprised. Maya Collins, now working directly with Admiral Bennett, intercepted communications between Vorathi ships. "They're confused," she reported. "They didn't expect us to adapt so quickly." "This is just the beginning," Bennett said grimly. "They'll try something else." He was right. 3 days later, smaller Vorathi craft entered the atmosphere. Ground forces engaged in brutal combat in dozens of cities. The aliens had superior technology, but humans fought with desperate innovation and home field advantage. In a secret facility in the Antarctic, engineer Kevin Ramirez studied a captured Vorathi weapon. "Their phase-shift technology," he told his team. "I think we can reverse engineer it, not just for defense, but as a weapon of our own." Project Infinite Blade was born, humanity's desperate gamble for survival. 5 years of war had transformed Earth beyond recognition. Major cities lay in ruins. Survivors lived in underground bunkers and hidden mountain bases. The sky, once blue, now carried a permanent gray haze from constant battles. But humanity had not broken. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in what had once been a tourist attraction called Cheyenne Mountain, Kevin Ramirez stood before a gleaming black ship unlike any Earth had built before. Its hull curved in impossible angles, seeming to bend light around it. "The ninth prototype," Kevin said to Admiral Bennett. "We've solved the phase stability issues." Bennett walked around the vessel. It was small, just large enough for a pilot and minimal weaponry. "And the pilot's survival rate?" Kevin hesitated. "Improved. 60% now." The first 8 attempts at creating ships that could use the Vorathi phase shift technology had been disastrous. Human physiology struggled with the transition between dimensions. The pilots who survived often came back changed, speaking of visions and places that couldn't exist. "We need better," Bennett said. "The Vorathi are pushing through our last defenses in Europe. Asia has gone dark. We're running out of time." Kevin nodded. "That's why I asked for Lieutenant Martinez." Olivia Martinez entered the hangar, her lean frame made stronger by years of combat. Before the war, she had been a test pilot. Now she was one of Earth's few remaining fighter aces, with 27 confirmed Vorathi kills. "So this is the famous Infinite Blade," she said, walking around the ship. "Doesn't look like much." "It's not about how it looks," Kevin explained. "It's what it can do. This ship doesn't just phase shift like Vorathi weapons. It can cut through space-time itself." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "English, please." "You can appear anywhere. Instantly. No travel time. No warning. You think of a location. The ship takes you there. Like teleportation. More like folding space. You slice through reality to your destination." Olivia touched the hull. "And the catch. Your mind has to guide it. The neural interface is intense. Previous pilots experienced hallucinations, disorientation. Some didn't come back at all." Olivia looked at Admiral Bennett. "You're that desperate." He met her gaze steadily. "We're that desperate." Training took 3 weeks. Olivia spent hours each day in simulators, learning to control the ship with her thoughts. The neural interface felt like ice spreading through her skull at first, then like fire as her brain formed new pathways to handle the information. The day of the first real test arrived. The plan was simple: appear behind Vorathi lines, destroy a communications relay, return. A hit and run to prove the concept. Olivia climbed into the cockpit, now familiar after countless simulations. Technicians attached the neural interface, a crown of fine wires that connected to her flight helmet. "Remember," Kevin said through her headset, "think clearly. Visualize your destination precisely." "I got it," she replied. "Let's make history." The hangar doors opened to reveal the night sky. Olivia felt the ship respond to her thoughts, lifting smoothly. The neural interface activated fully, and suddenly she could feel the ship as if it were her own body. She focused on her target, a Vorathi relay station in what had once been Paris. In her mind, she pictured slicing through the fabric of space, creating a path. The world around her stretched, colors bleeding into streaks. Pain lanced through her skull. For a terrifying moment, she glimpsed something vast and incomprehensible between realities, shapes and dimensions that human eyes weren't meant to see. Then she was there, hovering above Paris. The Vorathi station lay below, its operators unaware of her arrival. Olivia fired. The phase-shifted weapons tore through Vorathi shields. The station exploded in silent fury. Before defenders could respond, she pictured home. Another cut through reality, another glimpse of the impossible, and she was back at Cheyenne Mountain. As technicians rushed to the landed ship, Admiral Bennett looked at the mission clock in disbelief. 47 seconds, he whispered. Total mission time 47 seconds. Humanity had its weapon at last. The hangar that once held a single prototype now housed 30 infinite blade ships. Pilots in specialized neural gear performed pre-flight checks, their faces showing a mix of determination and fear. Everyone knew the risks. Not everyone would come back whole, or at all. Commander Daniel Jackson stood before them, his weathered face showing scars from early battles against the Vorathi. His right arm, lost in the Battle of Sydney, had been replaced with a neural-enhanced prosthetic. "Today we take the fight to them," he said, voice carrying across the hangar. "For 5 years, we've been on the defensive. Today, that changes." In the 6 months since Olivia Martinez's successful mission, Earth had built an entire fleet of infinite blade ships. The technology remained dangerous. Pilots still reported visions of impossible things in the space between realities, but the survival rate had improved to 85%. "Operation Reclamation begins in 3 hours, Daniel continued. "Primary targets are Vorathi command centers in North America, then their orbital platforms. Remember your training. In and out. No heroics." Olivia, now a major and squadron leader, checked her neural interface one final time. As the first successful pilot, she had helped train the others, showing them how to focus their thoughts, how to avoid the distractions of the void between spaces. "Nervous?" asked Captain Sean Riley, a former commercial pilot whose family had died in the initial attacks. "Always," Olivia admitted. "The thing is, the blade cuts both ways. We're changing something fundamental each time we make a jump." Across the complex, in the research division, Dr. Allison Wright studied data from the neural interfaces. The patterns troubled her deeply. Each time a pilot made a jump, the fabric of reality showed microscopic tears that didn't fully heal. "We need to limit the number of jumps," she told Admiral Bennett, pointing to her findings. "The technology is more dangerous than we realized." "More dangerous than extinction?" Bennett asked. Allison had no answer for that. The attack began precisely on schedule. 30 infinite blade ships vanished from Earth hangars and appeared simultaneously at targets across North America. Vorathi command centers, caught completely by surprise, fell in minutes. The alien forces, accustomed to technological superiority, had no defense against enemies that could appear inside their most secure facilities. In orbit, the second phase began. Infinite blade ships materialized beside Vorathi destroyers, fired phase-shifted weapons, and vanished before countermeasures could target them. The Vorathi Central Command, a massive ship hovering over what had once been Washington, D.C., broke orbit and retreated toward Mars, sending urgent signals toward distant stars. "They're calling for reinforcements," Maya Collins reported from Intelligence Division. "Their transmissions show panic. They're referring to us as void demons." For the first time in 5 years, humanity celebrated a clear victory. Memorials were held for the 3 pilots lost during the operation, not to enemy fire, but to the mysterious effects of the void between realities. Their ships had returned empty, as if the pilots had simply ceased to exist. Meanwhile, the Vorathi Empire responded. Long-range sensors detected a massive fleet departing from nearby star systems. The collective was sending their supreme armada. In a tense meeting of Earth's Leadership Council, opinions were divided. "We should use this time to evacuate as many people as possible to Mars colonies," suggested one official. "No," countered Daniel Jackson. "We finally have them running scared. We should press our advantage." Dr. Allison Wright presented her latest findings. "Each jump creates tears in reality. If we continue at this rate, or increase it as Commander Jackson suggests, we risk something worse than losing this war. We risk breaking reality itself." The debate grew heated. Earth had a weapon that worked, yet using it might cause damage beyond imagination. From her quarters, Olivia watched recordings of the day's battles. Victory had come at a price. She could still see the strange entities that dwelled between realities, could feel them reaching for her during each jump. She wondered if the missing pilots had been taken by those entities, or had become them. The asteroid belt became humanity's chosen battleground. Earth forces positioned themselves among the spinning rocks, using the natural cover to hide conventional warships, while infinite blade vessels waited in underground bases on Mars. Admiral Bennett studied the tactical display showing the approaching Vorathi armada. Over 200 ships, far larger than anything seen in the initial invasion. "They've committed everything," he told his officers. "This is their supreme fleet." Captain Ryan Cooper, head of intelligence since Maya's promotion to the War Council, entered the command center with an ancient-looking tablet. "Admiral, we found something in the ruins of their base on Europa." Ryan placed the tablet on the table. Its surface displayed symbols similar to Vorathi script, but older, more angular. "This predates the Vorathi by thousands of years. We've only translated parts, but it mentions technology matching our infinite blade capabilities." "They've seen this before?" Bennett asked. "Yes, sir. An ancient civilization called the Meridian developed similar technology. According to this, they used it to travel between stars instantly. But something went wrong." "Define wrong," Bennett said. Ryan's face grew grim. An entire sector of space disappeared. Thousands of stars gone in an instant. The record suggests reality itself collapsed when too many ships made jumps simultaneously. The implications hung heavy in the air. Earth's greatest weapon might be far more dangerous than they had realized. "We need to adjust the battle plan," Bennett decided. "Limited jumps, strategic targets only." The Vorathi fleet entered the asteroid belt 12 hours later. Their advance was cautious, clearly expecting an ambush. Earth forces remained hidden, conventional ships powered down to minimize detection. From the bridge of the flagship Freedom, Daniel Jackson watched the enemy approach. The plan called for conventional forces to engage first, drawing the Vorathi into a favorable position before the infinite blade ships struck key targets. "All ships, prepare to engage," he ordered. "Operation Sunburst commences in 5 minutes." Earth vessels powered up simultaneously, emerging from hiding spots throughout the asteroid field. Rail guns fired first, accelerating projectiles to near-light speed. Missiles followed, thousands launching in coordinated waves. The Vorathi responded with overwhelming force. Energy weapons cut through space, vaporizing asteroids and Earth ships alike. Their formation never broke, moving forward with methodical precision. "We're losing ships too quickly," reported Daniel's second-in-command. "The Freedom's shields are at 30%. Daniel made the call. "Launch infinite blade squadrons. Primary targets only." Across Mars, hangar doors opened. Olivia led the first wave, 40 ships rising into the thin Martian atmosphere. Her neural interface activated, connecting her consciousness to her vessel. "Remember your targets," she told her pilots. "One jump, one strike, return to base. No exceptions." She focused her mind, picturing the Vorathi flagship, a massive vessel at the center of their formation. The world stretched around her as she cut through reality, glimpsing the now familiar entities that dwelled in the void between spaces. Olivia emerged directly above the Vorathi command ship. 39 other infinite blade vessels appeared simultaneously at other key targets throughout the enemy fleet. They fired in perfect unison, phase-shifted weapons bypassing Vorathi shields. The Vorathi flagship shuddered as critical systems failed. Throughout their formation, key vessels suffered similar strikes. Before they could respond, the Earth ships vanished again. But something was different this time. As Olivia cut back through reality, she felt resistance. The void seemed thinner, more fragile. The entities moved frantically, as if fleeing something. She emerged above Mars to chaos. Several returning ships had collided, their pilots disoriented. 3 hadn't returned at all. On her tactical display, she watched as the damaged Vorathi fleet regrouped. They were hurt, but still operational. Still a threat. "We need to hit them again." Daniel's voice came through the comm. "Prepare for second wave attack." Olivia hesitated, remembering the strange behavior in the void. "Sir, something's wrong with the space between spaces. I don't think we should make another mass jump. We don't have a choice, Major. The conventional fleet is being decimated. Olivia closed her eyes. Then we need to try something different, something they won't expect. The remaining Vorathi fleet had regrouped into a defensive formation. Their damaged flagship hung at the center, surrounded by destroyer-class vessels. Energy weapons continued to fire at Earth's conventional forces, which were now retreating toward Mars. Olivia's plan had taken only minutes to formulate, seconds to explain to Admiral Bennett. His approval had been immediate. They had no other options. All Infinite Blade pilots, this is Major Martinez, she broadcast. New mission parameters. We're executing the circular cut. The maneuver existed only in theory. Instead of individual ships jumping to separate targets, all 35 remaining Infinite Blade vessels would jump to positions forming a perfect circle around the Vorathi fleet. Then, instead of attacking and returning, they would cut through reality again, not to retreat, but to create a continuous loop of spatial distortion. The risks are extreme, Olivia told her pilots. We don't know if human minds can maintain multiple consecutive jumps. Focus on your position, and nothing else. In her cockpit, Olivia reviewed the coordinates one final time. Each pilot had a precise position to maintain. If anyone failed, the circle would be incomplete. On my mark, she said. 3, 2, 1. Execute. 35 ships vanished from Mars orbit. For a heartbeat, they existed in the void between realities. Olivia glimpsed the entities there, now swirling in agitation. She forced herself to focus on her target coordinates. The Infinite Blade ships emerged simultaneously, forming a perfect circle around the Vorathi fleet. Before the aliens could react, all pilots initiated second jumps, but instead of jumping to new locations, they cut through reality while maintaining position. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Space itself seemed to warp around the Vorathi ships. A visible ring of distortion appeared, like a soap bubble stretching around the fleet. Vorathi weapons fired wildly but passed through the distortion, emerging elsewhere. From the Freedom, Daniel watched in awe. What are they doing? Creating a closed loop in reality, Dr. Allison Wright explained, having joined the bridge crew. They're essentially trapping the Vorathi in a bubble of distorted spacetime. The bubble began to contract. Vorathi ships at the edges were crushed as space itself compressed around them. Those at the center frantically tried to escape, but their jump drives failed within the distortion field. Olivia felt her mind stretching to its limits. Maintaining the spatial cut required total concentration. Through the neural interface, she sensed other pilots struggling similarly. 3 signals winked out. Pilots whose minds had broken under the strain. Hold the formation, she ordered the others. Just 30 more seconds. The Vorathi flagship sent out a transmission, not targeted at their own forces, but broadcast widely across all frequencies. Their language had evolved over 5 years of war, becoming more understandable to human translators. We yield, the message stated simply. End this abomination. We yield. Olivia gave the order to release the cut. The surviving Infinite Blade ships ceased their spatial manipulation and jumped back to Mars. The distortion bubble collapsed, leaving a scattered remnant of the once mighty Vorathi fleet. In the days that followed, Ambassador Nicol Wilson drafted humanity's message to the galaxy. With Vorathi translation technology captured intact, they could now broadcast in languages understood by civilizations throughout nearby star systems. The message was approved by Earth's Unified Council and transmitted from every remaining communication array. To all spacefaring civilizations, we are humanity of Earth. For 5 years, we fought against unprovoked aggression from the Vorathi collective. We sought peace. We were denied. We are now the Infinite Blade. We can reach any point in space instantly. We can twist reality itself. We ask only to be left in peace. Those who respect our boundaries will find friends. Those who threaten us will find there is nowhere in this galaxy to hide. This is our first and last warning. Within weeks, responses began arriving. Some expressed fear, others respect. Many offered alliances or non-aggression pacts. The Galactic Council, a loose confederation of 17 species unknown to humans before, called an emergency session to discuss the emergence of this new power. Earth had gone from near extinction to a force that made the galaxy tremble. 10 years passed since the decisive battle against the Vorathi. Earth had rebuilt, its cities rising from ruins with new architecture that blended human aesthetics with technological advances gleaned from alien civilizations. The scars remained, memorials to the billions lost, vast uninhabitable zones where Vorathi weapons had poisoned the land. But humanity had survived and thrived. The coalition of free worlds now counted 23 member species, with Earth as its unofficial leader. The Vorathi Collective, reduced to a shadow of its former empire, existed under strict monitoring by coalition peacekeepers. Captain Eric Taylor stood on the bridge of the Guardian, a conventional warship patrolling the border of human space. At 42, he was too young to have fought in the main war, but old enough to remember hiding in bunkers as a child while alien weapons turned his hometown to ash. Unusual energy signature detected, Captain, reported his sensor officer. Bearing 347, just beyond the Orc cloud. Eric studied the readings. Configuration. Nothing in our database, sir. Definitely not Vorathi. In the decades since becoming a galactic power, humanity had encountered numerous new species. Most sought peaceful relations after hearing about the Infinite Blade. Some tested boundaries. Send standard greeting protocols, Eric ordered. All languages. Minutes passed with no response. The unknown vessel continued approaching, its energy output increasing. "They're powering weapons, sir," the tactical officer announced. Energy patterns suggest destructive capacity exceeding Vorathi capital ships. Eric opened a secure channel to Earth Command. Admiral Olivia Martins, promoted after the war, appeared on screen. "Guardian has encountered unknown hostile," Eric reported, requesting instructions. Olivia's face showed the subtle neural interface scars all Infinite Blade pilots carried. "Defense protocols authorized. The Infinite Blade Squadron is on standby if needed." Eric nodded. Though he commanded a conventional vessel, he knew the terrible power kept in reserve. Only 3 Infinite Blade ships remained operational, used solely for defense, and sealed behind protocols requiring highest authorization. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," he said. The alien ship fired without warning. The Guardian's advanced shields held, but alarms blared throughout the vessel. "Shield capacity at 60%, reported the tactical officer. Their weapons use some kind of reality distortion similar to the blade technology. Eric ordered evasive maneuvers and return fire. The Guardian's phase-shifted weapons, derived from Vorathi technology, seemed to have minimal effect. 2 more alien vessels appeared, emerging from what looked like tiers in space itself. "Earth Command to Guardian," Olivia's voice came through. "The Council has authorized Infinite Blade deployment. Stand by." Eric felt a chill. In 10 years, not once had the Council activated those ships. The distortion risks were deemed too great after researchers discovered the cumulative damage to reality caused by the war. "Admiral," Eric said urgently, "request permission to try one more approach." "Make it quick, Captain." Eric opened all communication channels again. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Eric Taylor of Earth Coalition Ship Guardian. We detect you possess technology similar to our Infinite Blade capabilities. We know the dangers this technology poses to reality itself. If you continue hostilities, we will be forced to respond in kind. The combined distortion could damage space-time beyond repair. Is that what you want?" For long moments, there was silence. Then a response came, not in words but in mathematical equations displayed on the Guardian screens. The science officer worked frantically to interpret them. "It's a proof, sir, showing cascading reality collapse if multiple dimensional distortions occur in proximity." "They're warning us," Eric realized. "Or testing if we understand the risks." He sent back Earth's own equations, developed by Dr. Wright, showing similar conclusions. The alien vessels powered down their weapons. A new message appeared, now in simplified symbols. Similar understanding. Talk. 6 hours later, Eric reported to the council. They call themselves the Archivists. They developed technology similar to our infinite blade centuries ago and witnessed its devastating effects. They've been searching for other civilizations with this capability to warn them. So they attacked us to see if we used the blade, asked a council member. They needed to know if we understood what we possessed, Eric explained. They believe the technology is too dangerous for any species to use regularly. A century had passed since humanity's war with the Vorathi. The coalition of free worlds had expanded to include 50 species across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Earth itself had changed, its population recovered and spread across dozens of colony worlds. The scars of war remained only in history books and memorial gardens. In the Infinite Blade Research Facility orbiting Saturn, Director Grace Wilson studied the latest readings from the containment chamber. Inside floated the last operational Infinite Blade ship, suspended in a field of carefully calibrated energy. "How long has it been active?" she asked her assistant. 3 days, replied Sam Foster, checking his datapad. The dimensional fluctuations started small, but they're growing steadily. Grace frowned. For nearly a century, the archivists and human scientists had worked together to contain the dangerous technology. The 3 remaining ships had been placed in specialized vaults where they could be studied safely. 2 had been successfully deactivated decades ago, their reality-cutting technology rendered inert. But the 3rd ship had resisted all attempts at deactivation. "Contact the Archivist Liaison," Grace ordered. "We need their input on this." The situation grew more concerning when the Archivist representative arrived. Elder Keth was ancient even by their species standards, with skin that had faded from blue to almost white with age. "The ship should not be active," Keth said, studying the readings. "No one has interfaced with it in 60 years. Could it be activating on its own?" Grace asked. Keth's expression showed alarm, a ripple of color passing across their face. That would suggest a consciousness within the ship itself, the theoretical possibility we considered but never confirmed. As they spoke, alarms began to sound. The containment field around the ship flickered. "Energy spike," Sam called out. "The ship is attempting to jump." "Evacuate the station," Grace ordered immediately. "All personnel to escape pods." The evacuation proceeded with practiced efficiency. The facility had always been prepared for this possibility. Within minutes, only Grace, Sam, and Elder Keth remained on the command deck. "The containment field won't hold much longer," Sam reported. "If that ship jumps while inside the facility." He didn't need to finish. They all knew the dangers of a reality cut occurring within confined space. Elder Keth moved toward a sealed console. "There is one option." The Archivists developed a dimensional anchor, technology designed to prevent reality cuts within its field. "Why wasn't this implemented before?" Grace demanded. "Because it must be activated manually, and the activator cannot leave once it's engaged," Keth replied simply. Understanding dawned on Grace's face. "You always knew this might happen." "We hoped it would not be necessary," Keth admitted. "But the infinite blade technology is too dangerous to exist without safeguards." Before Grace could respond, the ship in containment began to glow with an unearthly light, the same light that pilots had described seeing in the void between realities. "You should leave now," Keth said firmly. "I will activate the anchor." "There has to be another way," Sam protested. Keth shook their head. "The anchor must be calibrated to the specific dimensional frequency the ship is generating. Only one with direct knowledge of the void can do this." Grace understood the sacrifice being offered. "The Coalition will remember this, Elder." "Remember instead the lesson," Keth replied. "Some powers are too great for any species to wield safely. Now go." Grace and Sam boarded the last escape pod. As it launched from the station, They watched through the viewport as a golden energy field expanded from the central chamber, enveloping the entire facility. The infinite blade ship's glow intensified, then suddenly dimmed as the anchor took effect. The station remained intact, now surrounded by the shimmering field. "What happens now?" Sam asked quietly. "The facility exists in a state of dimensional lock," Grace explained. "Neither fully in our reality nor outside it. The ship can't jump, but the station can't be reached either." In the decades that followed, the golden field remained visible in Saturn's orbit, a permanent reminder of both humanity's greatest achievement and its greatest responsibility. Ships passing nearby reported hearing faint transmissions, mathematical equations from Elder Keth, still monitoring the trap technology. Humanity continued to advance, developing new methods of faster-than-light travel that, while slower than the infinite blade, carried none of its risks to reality itself. The coalition flourished in an era of unprecedented peace.